Hi, I'm Jessica Mugis, and I am the creator and host of the Kids Yoga Podcast. I started this podcast in January of 2020, and my mission was pretty simple. I wanted to talk about kids yoga. I am a big podcast listener. I am a kids yoga educator for about 12 years now, and I found myself searching a lot for kids yoga podcasts. And while there were a few out there, there wasn't nearly enough. There are so many podcasts about parenting and motherhood and about movies and about all the other subjects that I'm interested in. And I just didn't know why there wasn't just a kids yoga podcast. So I took the dive. I decided to start it myself. I've got a background in filmmaking, so I was able to take my editing skills and put together a show. I did a lot of research. Podcasting is not easy, and I was completely new to it. So I listened to podcasts about podcasting. I wrote out a plan. I created a new notebook where I wrote all my ideas for episodes I could record. And I dreamt of interviewing people, but at the time I was like, well, who's gonna wanna be on a podcast that I'm hosting? I had that, that imposter syndrome that a lot of people talk about, where I was like, who's gonna wanna talk to me? So I did a few interviews in the beginning with friends of mine in the industry. I remember Marissa Goulbourne was the first interview I did, and she was someone who was teaching for me at the time, who's an incredible kids yoga teacher, prenatal yoga teacher, who now owns her own studio. And I had on my friend Lauren and my friend Lara, and then slowly people started to get excited about it, mainly through Instagram. And the podcast was developing and growing, and I was continuing to do episodes that were more information-based. What is kids yoga, how to do breathing in kids yoga, how to teach poses in kids yoga, things like that. But then I started connecting with people more and more when the pandemic hit. We were all stuck at home, all in quarantine, and it was the one outlet I had to reach out past my New York City apartment and to speak to others. That's when the show really took off into becoming more of an interview-based show. And since then, I've created over 66 episodes now, interviewed almost 50 people from all over the world, which is something I couldn't have even dreamed of at the beginning. And I'm starting to understand that kids yoga has the seeds have been planted everywhere around the world, which is so exciting. And it's growing at different speeds, and it's just in different phases depending on where you are in the world. So my goal now with the podcast is to bring us all together. We're all doing important work. There's room for everybody. Even if someone is teaching kids yoga in the same city as you, the same town as you, there is room for everybody. Because as kids yoga teachers, what we offer it's invaluable. It's life skills that children are going to bring with them into their life. And it's best if children learn about it through multiple people with multiple personalities, with different essences, because every child is different. So every kids yoga teacher should be different and offer something different. So here we are, and this has developed into a community, which is why I decided to take this to Patreon. Patreon's an amazing space where people who have been supporting the podcast, who are learning from it, are benefiting from it, like being a part of this community, they can give back. And I've now spent a lot of money on all the costs that go into doing a podcast, such as I have a hosting cost, I've got my website costs, I've got Zoom, I've got also the recording software I use, Riverside.fm, has a yearly cost, just to name a few. And then there's the hours and hours I put into the show, which is finding people to interview, scheduling interviews, preparing for interviews, doing the interview, editing the interview, and then creating the social media to market. So I love the work. It's a lot of work, and I'm starting to feel like let's get a symbiosis going where people who are already listening, who are enjoying the podcast for as little as $5 a month, which is the cost of getting a Starbucks coffee, you can contribute to the podcast. And if I figure if I get 20 people to be able to sign up, that would make a huge difference in my monthly costs and what I'm putting out. There's also other options. For $15 a month, you can get early access to the episodes like you do with our $5 a month membership, but you also can get bonus content. So there is some unreleased content that I record that I will release only for my all access patrons. And then finally, for $25 a month, it's called a Superstar. And what you get offered is the early access, the bonus content. You're gonna get shout outs in the episodes. Also, you're gonna join the KYP Superstar community, which is a monthly gathering of people within the kids yoga community that want to support each other. Before each monthly gathering, I'm going to be in touch with those of you who are members and ask, is there anything you're struggling with this month? Is there anything you're really proud of this month? Is there something, an idea you have, but you can't quite, get to the next step and you'd like some feedback? And we're gonna meet for an hour each month and discuss what we're going through and be there for each other. Because guess what? We need to take care of ourselves, practice our yoga ourselves, be in community with each other in order to then be fully present and compassionate towards the children we're teaching. So that's my little spiel. I can talk about this forever, and I am an open book. So if you have any questions for me, or if you're more interested in maybe just making a one-time donation, that's also an option. I really, really appreciate you being here. Every single person that listens, you make a difference, not just to me in knowing that you're listening, but to the children in the world that we are imparting these incredibly valuable life skills to. Thank you for being here.